So here I am on a very strange day in Point Reyes Station, trying to get some things planted for the fall or winter, both. Mostly just broccoli, but we have the land right here to start planting. Just been plowing since this morning and getting stuff ready for the fertilizer. We have organic fertilizer. Just started using this year. Every year in the past I've pretty much used compost, but you can see it there. It's called Vita Grow Super N, and the great thing about this is if you have adequate soil organic carbon, good soil structure and texture, and don't need to add a whole lot more compost for that structure and texture, you can add the nutrients that you need based on your soil samples. So this year, that's what I started doing. You can see, if I can get a close-up there, that we have 12 parts nitrogen for every bag. So in a 50-pound bag, that's 6 pounds of nitrogen. And you can extrapolate that out to the field based on the soil test. We need about 100 pounds of nitrogen per acre here, and usually the crops take up somewhere between 40 and 80, maybe even more. So you have to replace that nitrogen. Some of the nitrogen goes back into the soil when you till it back in, but a lot of it is lost to the crop harvest or to the air, just atmosphere. So that's what we're up to now. The other thing we're applying is gypsum, and gypsum is a amendment that has it's a CaSO4 with 2 waters on it. That's the actual chemical signature, the chemical formula. So calcium sulfate dihydrate. And the nice thing about gypsum is that it's got calcium and sulfur in it. So the sulfur works to actually bring the pH down, while the calcium works to bring the pH up. So it basically neutralizes itself, does not raise the pH, but you do get some calcium and sulfur. It also does what I call soil conditioning. So if you have very clayey soil, and our soil here is pretty clayey, but if you have a lot of clay in the soil, it breaks the clay down into more manageable particles. And so you can see here that actually the clay, it's harder to see it. Actually, you know, it looks a little bit more like a nice loamy crumb structure, and so that's part of the reason why is because of the gypsum and the lime. We've balanced our pH, but also just that there's a little bit of an excess of calcium in there, and that helps to coat the clay particles and create less shrink swell potential. We'll talk about that soon, but anyhow, I'll show you a little bit more about the technique I use for adding the fertilizer onto the soil, and we'll just go from there.